Hello? So, yeah, I wanted to do a video also on Kaji. You see, infected, as I addressed you in that thread there, I have never had any issue with you guys. Being completely honest, I never did. You know what bothered you so much? Was the fact that you can't make me believe anything just because you say it. See, I've said over and over again that I just want a source. That's it. I just want a source. I want you to be able to point out a source explaining how contraltos actually have to sing loudly all the way down to a G2, at least. See, I showed that specifically tenors, for example, don't even sing down to a G2 loudly. Most of the time they're expected to sing down to a C3. Contraltos are never expected to sing below the third octave at all. They will put them at D3, sometimes C3, if you want to. And I understand some people do this. They think that the contralto has the exact same voice as a tenor. And so then they say that they should have the same range as a tenor. If that was the case, then someone would sing loudly C3, as low as C3. The people I showed as examples, they all sing way below a C3 loudly, okay? And I pointed out much more than just a range. I pointed out passaggio. Passaggio for a contralto is about D5. If you want to make it a little bit lower for tenors, it's a lot lower actually, because the function in their voice is very different, and this is a good example of how tenors and contraltos are not exactly the same, because the head voices are different, but basically the ranges are pretty similar. That's one thing. And then the other thing I also pointed out was tessitura. All the people I listed as examples: Britney Spears, Taylor Swift, and the other people I mentioned, Mariah Carey, and there's another singer I mentioned. They all sing a lot lower than a lot of other females. Now, the thing about contraltos is you guys were saying contraltos sing very low like men. The thing is, contraltos are not supposed to sound like men. They're actually supposed to sound like a low female voice. So, yeah, you can say that the lower end of the voice sounds more masculine. But if I showed you all the four people I show, when they sing their lower portion of their voice, they do sound masculine to some extent, you know. But their voice is very bright at the same time. They don't have that masculine sound to the rest of their voice. Anywho, that's all I was trying to point out, was that you guys fail to bring links. I brought up passaggio, I brought up tessitura and range. All three show that they are contraltos. And you can't bring a source that shows that contraltos are supposed to sing loudly a G3 or a G2, not G3, G2, or, an F2. You do know that G2 and F2 are supposed to be baritone notes. A contralto isn't supposed to sing as low as a baritone, sweetie. So, stop with the misinformation. And it's very obvious that you are bringing up misinformation in this situation, because if you weren't, you would have some sources. And I pointed out in this whole situation that I have no animus towards you. I don't have any anger towards you. What you have anger with is the fact that you don't show your face. You have no credentials. You yourself, in fact, have admitted you are a child. And the other one is mad because they don't have the intellect nor the knowledge to deceive me enough. There are plenty of actual singers and actual singing teachers who actually show their faces and aren't afraid of showing their face, because all you guys do is troll other people's channels. You see, those people are not about trolling. They're actually about giving good information to people on how to sing better. You're not about that. What you're about is basically about trying to troll other people, trying to have some kind of weird cult where you think that you can just convince people into believing how you believe people's voice types are, despite the fact that you have no sources. And it's not just the fact that you don't have sources. It's also the fact that you particularly can't change your agenda. Like, your main agenda here is to basically say that contraltos are very rare. That's why you try to make the note that women have to sing is lower than a tenor, and in some cases lower than a baritone. That's why you do that, because you're not comfortable with the fact that a lot of women do fit into the contralto vocal range in tessitura and passaggio. You're so delusional you think that somehow Miley Cyrus singing a C2 and having a very low tessitura and having a passaggio where her head voice starts at C5, which is lower than a contralto by that matter. She's actually closer to a tenor if you really pay attention to it. That somehow she is a mezzo-soprano. Like I said, you're just wanting no one to be a contralto, and you want to paint the image that most women are sopranos. The problem with this is sopranos, the vocal range is supposed to start at C4. And if you understand the amount of hertz that is as your lowest note, that shows you that that type of voice would have to be a childlike voice, basically. Yes, there's some women who do have childlike voices. Their voices don't mature, and so they have childlike voices, and they would fit that soprano vocal range, probably. But you have to understand, most women mature. And so when women mature, they have women voices. And this is why people have said in the past, majority of women are actually mezzo-sopranos, not sopranos. And the majority of women can hit low notes and they can hit high notes. Now, contraltos are a little different. Our voices are very solid. If you hear Britney Spears speak, you hear Mariah Carey speak, you hear Taylor Swift speak, you can hear they have a lot of solidness in their voices. You see, their voices aren't very weak and flimsy. Mezzo-sopranos have a bit more warmth in their voice, but a lot more whininess and weakness to the voice. Think of, for example, Cher. Cher's voice is weak when she speaks. I know some people would think she sounds mannish, which is weird. She doesn't. She has a softness to her voice. It's not exactly strong when she speaks. But you could hear Mariah Carey. Her voice is not like that at all. Voice Hacks talks about this. Contralto, specifically our vocal cords, are made very differently. And you could look at my larynx and you would see I don't particularly have any parts that like a male has. For example, males have it's different. Their vocal, they literally look like, they got an Adam's apple there, and they have more length to their vocal cords and all that stuff. Ours tends to be wider, and I've always known that for my area down there. You can see that the vocal area is pretty wide, and that's why the voice is basically very solid, because there's a lot more. I think our cords are supposedly more thick rather than long, which is why our voices might be a little bit more solid, while females with mezzo-soprano voices are more whiny and weak. So that's all I wanted to point out there. But yeah, honestly, if you really want to sound like someone that is credible, show your face and show some sources. I've shown sources. I've debunked you over and over again. And this is why Kaji was so angry. Because Kaji was mad because I've debunked Kaji over and over again. Kaji is a guy who doesn't like the fact that women have lower voices than his fantasy woman would have. And maybe that's a pedophilic desire. I don't know. The desire for women to have childlike voices is kind of weird if you think of it. Why are you trying to claim all women have childlike voices? That's not normal. It seems like you have some kind of vendetta and maybe some fantasies that seem a little sick. But that's just all I have to say here. Maybe that's why Kaji is around a lot of children too. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Bye.